Hello and welcome to
Feature Film Club.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Wait, let me start earlier. I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Lovely story.
You do not talk about...
I thought you were good at this, man.
This shit's weak.
Man, we laughed last time after that intro, and we just laughed again because it's been so long.
It has been.
I couldn't remember all of that stuff in it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But it's
Oh my God. So I'm Nick Quintero,
I'm Fabian Rodelo.
and this is Feature Film Club.
That's right.
It's a podcast where we talk about movies for whatever reason.
We both enjoy them.
Originally, the idea was to show each other or share a movie that the other person hasn't seen or possibly neither of us have seen.
Right.
But we're not necessarily committed to that. However, last episode and this episode both still follow that format.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad that it's following under the same regulation that we wanted to start with, but
Yeah.
it feels like we were going to be all willy-nilly about it, but it's kind of naturally going that way anyway.
Yeah, because even the one I picked for the next episode is going to be one you haven't seen.
That's right.
So that's going to be good.
It will be.
But yeah, it's been quite a while since our first ep.
Yeah. We've gone through some things.
That was my fault mostly. I was sick for literally an entire month.
Yeah, that's right, man. I'm glad you're doing better.
Me too. It was miserable. It was insane. Like, I really thought that we were going to be good to just like hit the ground running and like do that
Right.
first episode, do the second one the next month, and just like keep going. But really hit the brakes hard.
Yeah, we had to, man, and I couldn't stop by. I had to make sure that we were socially distancing.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I caught COVID even though I was being safe, and it was miserable. I got like some of the worst symptoms, and luckily I didn't get any of the like super life-threatening ones. I did not have to get on a respirator or anything like that, but I did have to go to the hospital, and it was just miserable. But
Yeah, man.
I'm very happy to be on the other side of that.
You look great.
Thanks. I feel great. I lost 30 pounds while I was sick, so
Fucking wonder, dude. I'm heavier than you are now.
it's insane. I haven't weighed myself in a few days, so you might, I might have gone back up over you. I don't know. I'll weigh myself when I get home and let you know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll only let you know if I'm still under you.
Wait, what do you weigh first?
Oh, yeah. No, I'll just stop responding.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get another text after that,
My bad, man. I crashed out.
a week later. I've been asleep, bro. It's been crazy. It's been so crazy. But yeah, I'm glad to be past that, on the other side of it,
Same, man.
feel like a human again, and get to see my friend.
Yeah, man. It's always good to hang out with you. Even if we're not doing this, it's always a good time.
For sure. Like I said last time, we got to just make excuses to hang out. Not because we have to, but because for some reason it makes it more fun. I don't know why.
Because we can.
Yes, exactly. And any excuse to drink a beer with you is always dope.
Yeah, man. You know how we do it.
Yep, absolutely. Friends for a long fucking time, but somehow have not seen each other's favorite movies.
Yeah.
And this one that you picked this week, it was barely even on my radar. So I was surprised when you picked it.
Yeah. It's one that I had seen in middle school. This kid from Chicago had moved down to the city where I was living in. This was like 7th grade. And he just randomly was like, hey, man, do you like anime? And I was like, yeah, I've seen some animes here and there, but it was more like the anime that was on the Mexican station.
Yeah.
So there was like this one soccer one, and I love that one. So I've always loved cartoons no matter what. But so he was like, yeah, I'm gonna loan you my VHS tape. It was a VHS of this movie, Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and it's been honestly to this day my favorite anime movie ever.
That's crazy. I mean, that's super cool. I'm not very knowledgeable about anime, even though I make a lot of anime t-shirts at my job. But when you said Ninja Scroll, I definitely had heard of the title, but in my head, it almost felt like I should have known more about it, or like I almost like thought that I did, but I was like, I honestly don't know. I didn't even know it was an anime when you just told me the title. Like, I thought it was a movie.
Yeah.
And when I went and found it streaming on Hulu, I was very surprised. I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I watched it while I was sick, actually.
That's right. Yeah,
and so I was just like in bed, just like watching it, like tripping out. But I watched it again today to get a little refresher.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it.
For sure. So I took some notes. I don't know if you did at all.
Oh, hell yeah. I took a lot of notes.
So, yeah, I mean, So a lot of you ask me how I make my podcast and how I get it distributed onto Apple, Spotify, and all the other listening apps. Well, I use this website called Anchor.fm. It's super dope, super easy, and it's free. So you can use their creation tools like within the website or the app and record straight from your computer or your phone without having to know anything about doing a podcast. If you're even kind of interested in starting one, I highly recommend that you start at Anchor.fm. So go to their website, tell them I sent you, or don't. They have no idea who I am. It doesn't matter. But trust me, this is where you want to start. I love using it. It's perfect for what I need. They distribute everything. They keep everything hosted so I don't lose it because this is my life, yo. I'm telling you, this is what you want if you want to start a podcast. So check out Anchor.fm to get started on your own podcast today. From the very, very beginning when it started, I was like super surprised because I immediately felt like I was just seeing like Tarantino inspiration, just like on the screen. You know what I mean?
I can feel that.
Like immediately from the first scene, well, because it starts with him, with the main character, Jubei,
yeah.
like, you know, getting into this altercation with some randos on the bridge.
Yeah.
And I felt like,
his own business.
Yeah, just eating that little rice ball.
It was like a rice ball, yeah.
God, that thing looked good. I knew I was hungry today. I didn't eat breakfast, and I was just like watching like him eat that rice ball, like super jealous.
This cartoon rice ball looks fucking amazing.
It's literally a drawing of a white circle with a little bit of like texture on the edges.
On the edges, yeah.
Like,
they look delicious though.
I did not lose as much weight as I thought I did because that was a fat guy moment for sure.
Hey, fuck it, man.
But yeah, that opening scene, I felt like there was a specific, there was a specific Tarantino thing that I felt the influence on, which was the Oren Ishii like animation backstory from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's the scenes when she's like a little kid and they come in and like kill her dad and stuff. Like,
right.
I felt like that animation style in that movie was like super, super inspired by what I saw in this one.
Yeah, you can definitely see the similarities in the way that not only the artwork, but the way that it's animated.
Yeah.
You know, and the way that they are portrayed on screen, for lack of a better word, the way that they're drawn out.
Yeah, exactly. Like the animation style was like, if they were going for that in Kill Bill, they like nailed it.
They nailed it, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so he starts off and he meets those two hoodlums that are gonna try to jack him.
Yeah,
basically
those dickheads.
Yeah, man. And then the one guy, like, so he pulls out his sword and he chops this guy in half, but he jumps out and he's like this tiny dude.
Yeah,
with a pistol, and it was like a wooden body that he was in.
His gun looked like one of those memes where like somebody's holding like an old timey pistol. Yeah. And it says like, what are you going to do? Like assassinate Abraham Lincoln with that? Like, that's what like that gun looked like. I was so confused.
It looked like a tiny little musket, like a pistol musket.
Yeah. But I did not expect the violence so like immediately.
Yeah. This movie is very violent. It is rated R. Just in case nobody's seen it, it's rated R for a reason.
Don't watch it with your kids, that's for sure.
No, it's not a cartoon for kids at all, and you'll see later why.
Yeah, I was very surprised just like how violent it was, like so immediate. Yeah. But it really does set the tone for the movie, like immediately.
Exactly.
And I was kind of like, you know, there was no like backstory, there was no exposition. It was just like a cold open, and but it really did like set the tone. I wasn't like missing any of that other stuff.
Yeah, it hits the ground running.
Yeah,
it really does.
And he just like murks all of those dudes and that tiny dude with the gun, but he doesn't kill him.
No,
he just kind of explains that he's a little bit of like a lone wolf type character.
Exactly.
Almost like mercenary, but not really like but he explains that he's like helping this small village or whatever.
He's like a good guy mercenary.
Yeah, exactly.
If such a thing exists.
And then the title card, Ninja Scroll, and I was like, what the hell does Ninja Scroll mean?
You know what? That's a good question. I've never thought to look that up at all.
Yeah, I didn't get an immediate connection of the title with the movie, but I mean, I didn't think about it immediately. I thought about that today on my second watch.
That's fair. Yeah. I've never thought about it, to be really honest with you.
It's pretty funny.
The art of the movie is incredible. I will say that all throughout all the scenes, there's really good imagery that they use in the backgrounds.
Yeah.
The colors that they use. It really sets... it gives you, like, you know how colors can give you emotions?
For sure.
You know, like you get the reds and the oranges, you get a warmth, and then you get blues, it gives you cold.
Mm-hmm. Like when he's out, like when they're out in the woods and stuff, like...
Exactly.
The blues like feel cold, and it almost makes you like feel like uncertainty, and like it's really cool.
Exactly.
I'm a sucker for really good background paintings, and that was like one thing I noticed in this movie. Like, it was just incredible art for sure.
Yeah, top notch.
And so almost right after the title card, they kind of cut over to the to this village, and there's like all these dead bodies and things, and you can tell something's wrong. Everybody's like dying of COVID or something.
Yeah.
And
COVID-1 back then.
Yes, exactly. But so they show this village where everybody's dying, and then there's like one villager kind of like walking into this other village by herself, and she's got like the plague, the drawing representation of having the plague, which is just like dots on your face.
Yeah. She's like super pale skinned, you know, a lot of marks on her face and her body.
And they show like a suspicious character like kind of controlling her and like making her talk. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was a little confusing at first.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I caught on faster than I expected to.
I like how they were talking about how it was like when she was walking into that village, there's these two guys. There's one guy working on his the roof of his house.
Yeah.
And then like his friend is just kind of like passing by on a wagon or something. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, you know, a terrible storm last night and this and that. And he's like, yeah, it almost scared my wife into labor. And he's like, what does that make, 7? He's like, 9. 9. You had 9 kids. That poor lady.
Oh, my God.
A poor
fictional
woman.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good with my 1.
So the woman, the sick woman, like comes in and basically gives a warning that the village that she's from is everybody's dead, is what she says.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's dead.
Yep.
And I think she says specifically that the plague did it.
Yes.
And so then they show her kind of being controlled by that guy, but it's still kind of ominous, and don't really know exactly what's going on.
You don't get that at the beginning, no.
Yeah, and then she just like falls over and dies.
Yeah, face first into a puddle.
I shouldn't be laughing at that, but it just sounds funny. And so in this village now, everybody's concerned that this plague could be spreading.
An epidemic.
Yeah, and so they want to like see what's going on over in the other they keep saying the name of that other village, and I wrote it down, but I don't have it.
Yeah, I meant to write it down too, and I just totally spaced on it earlier.
But I do know that not yet, because first those guys go to the like leader of the village, this like big, like crazy guy with a ton of lines in his face for some reason.
Yeah, the shogun of the village.
Yeah, and so they go tell him what happened, and he's concerned, and so he sends out like a search party of ninjas, right? Like
yes.
the group that he sends out are ninjas.
The Koga clan ninjas.
Yep. And their leader seems to be this character, Hansa.
Correct.
And Hansa and all his men are sent out, and then they see Kagero?
Kagero, yeah.
Kagero. And so she is like wanting to go too.
Right. I like how in that scene, the Shogun tells Hansa, if because he orders them to go and check out what's going on in this town. And then he tells them, if you were to become infected, and he just kind of leaves it.
Yeah.
And the Hansa's just like, we understand.
Yeah.
So he's essentially alluding to the fact that if they get infected, they have to kill themselves.
Yes.
Imagine that right now in the pandemic.
God. I mean, some people, I mean, you know,
would have had to
might
kill
have been
yourself,
for the
bro.
better. I would have just like jumped off the roof or something fun.
I'd
I
have
don't
been
know.
so mad. This would have never happened.
That's true. We would have one episode on our podcast if that was the case.
I'm glad we don't live in these martial laws.
Yeah, same. So Kagero like says she wants to go. It's kind of like a, you know, Mulan moment before Mulan. And she like cuts her hair off with her sword. It's so dramatic.
Yeah.
Like it just like falls to the floor. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really crazy. That was a cool ass scene.
Yeah, she's like, I don't give a fuck. I want to go.
And then her new haircut kind of made her look like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat. It's kind of that like, you know, ninja mullet thing, you know?
That's exactly what it became.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
So good. So she ends up going with them.
Right, yeah, with the ninja to go investigate these 8 enemies that they seen.
Yeah, and because somebody saw them in the storm and were
Exactly.
suspicious of them.
Yep.
And so they wanted to go see. I don't think they were suspicious of them causing the plague immediately, right? It was kind of
suspicious.
like, yeah. And so,
Yeah, but like, what's going on? There's a plague here. What are you doing?
yeah, like something's up.
Right.
So they're traveling through the trees, which is interesting.
I love the way they travel in these anime movies and shows. They just like hop from tree to tree.
It was crazy.
like a ninja.
And she's with them, and her and Hansa kind of seem like an item.
Right, yeah, you can tell that there's a bit of something that she wants with him, but he's too serious.
Yeah.
And way too into his job to want to give into those.
He friend zoned her.
He did
He definitely friend zoned
exactly
her.
what he did.
And she's not happy about it, but
Oh.
also trying to like play through the pain. And like, you know, she perpetually looks like she's on the verge of crying.
That's right.
Like everything. And even like later on, we'll get to it, but like they reference her being so tense all the time.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's because she wants the D and nobody gave it to her.
Nobody's willing
Hansa
to. I
doesn't
guess
want to serve it up.
Yeah. So Hansa gets his for that though,
He does.
because immediately something's up. Hansa goes to check on one of the scouts that's with him, and he is dead. He just falls over out of the tree, and all of his other men are just dead on the floor of this forest.
This forest, right?
And he's like, well, shit. Like, now what? So it's just him and Kagera left.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this big fucking Thanos dude
Yep.
just like comes out with his same spinning double-sided like Thanos sword,
Yeah.
throwing it like exactly like I was like
Yeah.
bugging out when I saw that.
It
I
was like a boomerang that you can throw.
yes,
His name was Tesai.
to sigh. Dude, I had such a hard time catching people's names and keeping up with them.
Yeah.
And like even I wrote people's names down as I went. Like I wrote Kagero down and forgot halfway through my notes, and not even halfway, like probably just a little bit further down, I just wrote the girl or she. I could not keep up with anybody's names at all. I'm very surprised that you just knew that right off the top.
Well, I did watch it today, and I've seen the movie a bunch, so it was kind of just a refresher.
Yeah, that's very fair. I just called him Rocky Thanos, basically. And that was
Rocky
it.
Thanos. Exactly.
So Hansa tries to fight him.
Right.
That doesn't go very well.
Does not go well. He gets ripped. He jumps at the guy, and the guy catches both of his arms and then rips his arms off of his body.
And then there's just like a blood rain.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. That was the craziest thing that I've seen in a while. I was very shocked.
He holds the arm up, and he's drinking the blood that's
like-
coming out of the arm. That's fucking badass.
It's
dude.
crazy. I was just like, damn, this is wild. Like, I don't watch very many anime. I know some can be like this, but it was still like kind of shocking. I was like,
It's a
all
lot,
right, yeah.
It's like a anime Tarantino movie. It's bloody as hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then to make it even worse, he immediately grabs Kagero, rips her clothes off. There's tits immediately. I did not
Instantly.
expect that.
Yep.
I did not expect to see cartoon tits today, or the day I watched it the first time, and did not expect horny Thanos. That was
He was trying to get it in, dude.
He was. And so he kind of like, I think he knocks her out. He grabs her. He like drags her over to this like hut or something.
Yeah, she was definitely passed out. It's uncomfortable if it was real.
It was uncomfortable in what
enemy.
it was, because he's
True,
all
right?
over her and he's like licking her and like slobbering all on her.
It's a lot, dude.
And he's like, I don't think he actually rapes her in the scene, but he's pretty damn close.
He's
I mean,
really
he
close.
is sexually assaulting her. That is for damn sure.
Yes.
And
It's definitely happening.
it is disgusting. I was glad I didn't eat breakfast at that point because it was just nasty. Like, they animated that perfectly to disgust people.
It was a lot, dude. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched it when I was in 7th grade, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck am I watching, dude? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, it was awkward. It was nasty, and then I was confused because he wasn't Rocky anymore, and I was like, did he get soft to fuck her? Because that's kind of backwards.
Yeah. His rock skin turned into normal skin.
Like, he had to get soft to do it. I was confused.
He had to get soft to get hard.
Exactly. It's confusing.
That's right.
But it's anime. They're always confusing.
Yeah, that's not the worst we're going to talk about.
So while he is sexually assaulting this poor woman, the camera just kind of like pans over, and you can see in the corner is our main character,
Protagonist,
Jubei, and he's kind of like just sitting there. And I thought it was really cool how the rock dude like didn't look at him to acknowledge him. He was just like, hey, I'm doing something here. Get the fuck out.
You need to leave.
Yeah. And like, but he doesn't even like look over. Like, he just knows he's there.
He knows he's there, yeah.
And then I thought this was like one of the coolest things. He gets up like he's going to leave, and they pan back over to the horrible activities happening. And then he's just right there next to him.
Yeah.
And like almost like whispers in his ear, like a total like power move. Like, and what does he do? He just like asks him for directions or something,
He asked
right?
him for directions, yeah. How to get to like the next town.
God, it's like such a like boss, like power move. Just like,
Yeah.
like, you know what this means, that
Yeah.
he did not leave.
Yeah.
And he's doing this. And so your boy gets rock hard again.
Literally gets rock hard. He turns back into stone skin.
So then he just they start fighting, and I feel like Jubei like gets fucked up.
Yeah, so it's funny because when it first starts, the confrontation first starts, he's like, I wonder if all of you is stone. And he chucks like a dagger into this stone monster's eye.
Yeah.
And the dude starts freaking out and he starts screaming and
He's like bleeding out of his eye.
he's
Like
bleeding out of his eye. And then Jubei and Kagero run off. Yeah, they take off. And then, Jubei gets his ass handed to him by this guy.
And so whenever the rock dude comes out of the hut, he pulls the dagger out with his eye still on it and just throws it to the side.
Chucks it. Yeah, fuck that eye.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, so then he starts chasing them, and actually, what happens? Does he catch up with them?
No, so he gets stopped by
That's right.
another one of the 8 demons of Kamon is what they are, what they're called. He's like one of the leaders of the group, and he's like, no, don't chase them, leave them alone.
We have like a different mission. Like, that's not what you're here for.
We have another task. Let that go. So
Yeah.
he's mad about it, and then that scene ends.
So then Hansa and Kagero are like arguing amongst themselves, and he basically
Jubei.
Oh, Jubei, yes.
Hansa's
Not
dead as
Hansa's
fuck.
dead. Hansa's arms are long gone. So Jubei and Kagero are arguing. Jubei basically says like, or actually she kind of like throws some shade at him, as like the way he asked for directions earlier, like, it's that way, bitch. Like, just go.
Yeah, she's super mad about it.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know if she just doesn't understand why he saved her, but she's really angry.
She's angry in this whole movie. She should see a therapist probably. She's got some anger issues,
She really
some
does.
unresolved things from her past. Very
There's
clearly,
definitely some self-hatred there. Definitely.
Oh man! So they go their separate ways.
Yeah. So Jubei takes off, and she goes back to the Koga ninja shogun guy.
Mm-hmm. And immediately there's another cartoon sex scene.
Yeah. He's like, she shows up to talk to him, and he's just banging his wife, I'm assuming, or one of his harem.
Probably not. Yeah, exactly. And it was just so awkward because cartoon sex is just always awkward no matter what it is, even if it's like an adult movie. Like,
It doesn't seem right, yeah.
I just hate it. Like, it might as well be like Lois Griffin, you know, like in an ad on the side of Defont, like back in the early 2000s or something. Like, I mean, horrible. Oh my God. So she tells him what happened and explains like that they were attacked and that everybody's dead. But I was getting so frustrated because it's that like movie trope where they don't like explain what happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she was just so vague. Like, he's like, and everybody else, they're dead. Like, no, that's not what happened. Y'all were attacked by a man who was made of rocks, who could not be cut or killed or anything. He, like, sexually assaulted you. I understand why you wouldn't divulge all of that information. Yeah. But, like, there's some magical, mystical, like, shit going on. Like, not just, like, we were attacked and they're dead. Like, I would be screaming my head off. Like,
he was chopping people in half in the trees.
He threw a fucking frisbee knife sword that was cutting trees down as it came to cut me. Like, I would be going insane. And she's just like calm, like, everybody's dead.
That's it, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. it's just too vague. I can't do it. So
in the scene before, whenever they're getting away, you meet this old man who is just chilling in a tree, and he's like stroking his goatee.
Yeah,
and he comes into the movie later on, and he's a spy for the
government spy,
for the Tokugawa government.
And he's very strange. He kind of is like talking almost like Yoda or some shit, like in Dagobah, like just not backwards.
Yeah, he's speaking normally, but it's basically Yoda.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So then, Jubei meets him, and the guy tells him, basically is saying, hey, look, I need your help to do this. And Jubei's like, no, I'm not getting involved with you, and just fucks off. He goes to do his own thing, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That was the only interaction that they had.
Lone wolf
right
style.
Then. Yep. Off to do his own thing as per.
So they cut back to Jubei on his trek on this path by this wall, presumably, like, you know, with a village on the other side of it.
Right, yep.
And then all of a sudden, this big-ass arm just bursts through the wall and grabs him, and your rock dude is back. Asshole Korg is what I wrote in my notes.
Asshole Korg. God, that's good.
Oh,
that's
man.
Really good.
And he's just beating the shit out of Jubei. Like,
he fucks him up.
Like, one punch, and I would be dead. I would be long dead.
Man.
And he's just beating the shit out of him, and Jubei is just shit-talking.
Yeah.
He's like, if we keep this up, one of us is going to die. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God. I would be apologizing. I would be like, bro, we got off on the wrong foot.
Dude,
like,
let me go. I shit on myself.
Exactly. I am not shit-talking a giant guy made of rocks punching me in the chest.
No, not at all.
Oh. And so while they're fighting, is the old guy there watching or not? Like, I can't remember if they show him there.
Yeah.
But so they're fighting, and Jubei kind of starts to get the upper hand because the rock guy's like rock skin starts like breaking and crumbling, and he's like freaking out. He doesn't know what's happening.
Yep.
And so he kind of Jubei kind of gets the advantage over him, and the way he dies is insane.
It's pretty badass, dude. So he chucks this double sword thing, and Jubei evades it obviously, and he does this like sword attack on his own, and it chops off this guy's like fingers from his catching hand.
Yes.
And then this double-edged thing just comes right back and lands straight in his forehead.
Oh my God. I mean, just like stuck there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
blood just
it just comes spraying out, and then he just slides down the whole sword and just gets cut in half. Yeah. Like, just from that one wound, just the whole thing just he's done.
He's done, man.
Oh my God, that was so crazy.
You can't survive after that.
You know, we forgot to mention, I think there was a part where when Jubei gets hit, he like drops his sword but they show that he has this like string attached to it, and he kind of like sneakily uses that to like pull it back to himself and like have his sword again when the rock guy thought that he had like the upper hand.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like his first little like trick that they show.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a ninja on his own. And
he's a badass.
Fucking total badass.
So I think this is whenever the old guy
You're right.
tells him about the 8 what are they called again?
The demons of Kimon.
Yes. So this is where he explains who they are, what they are, and this is where he's kind of talking like Yoda. And I thought he looked like a tree, which was very crazy because later he disguises himself as a tree.
As a tree.
So I was just like, what the hell? He really is a tree, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
So,
right after that, after they talk, Jubei goes off on his own again.
Yes.
And he's at this like lake. He's chilling. And he's like nursing his wounds and just kind of just trying to chillax.
Because he won that fight, but he got fucked up.
Yeah, dude.
For sure.
Yeah, he got his ass whooped. So he's chilling there, and you can see him like he pulls out a tooth and all this and that.
He's like rinsing his mouth out in the river and shit.
And then out of nowhere, there's just this naked lady with a bunch of snake tattoos chilling on a rock, like a little ways down.
Yeah, like traditional, like Japanese looking, like snakes and cherry blossoms and shit, like on her back. Yeah,
just all over her body.
And so she approaches him and is talking to him kind of vaguely, and you like something's off clearly. And he starts to get kind of hypnotized, and the snakes start coming off of her body.
Yeah.
And they're just like real snakes, just like coming straight for him.
They're like floating in the air towards him, yeah.
And he's like kind of somewhat hypnotized and about to get fucked up by a bunch of snakes. Yeah. And then the old guy, he probably has a name. Actually, you know what? I wrote down right here. I know these people have names, but I don't remember any of them at this point.
It's Daquan.
Daquan, that's right. He hasn't said it yet in the.
No, he hasn't said it
in the movie, but yeah. So he out of nowhere throws a shuriken and sticks into Jubei's arm,
his arm, right,
and kind of like breaks him out of the trance.
Yep.
And he starts like slicing snake heads off and shit.
It was like 3 moves, and he killed all the snakes.
Yeah,
and it was like 15 of them.
And they were like getting progressively more dangerous, you know, because they were like turning from the tattoo style to like just all black snakes just like coming at him. And so he kills the snakes, he grabs the woman, and then all of a sudden she just like falls apart, like melts.
Wilts.
Yeah, exactly. Wilts. That's the perfect way to say that.
Yeah, it was like a skin.
It was like a snake skin, and she like escaped from it and everything. So yeah, just so
like a cast off skin.
So weird.
Yeah. Like at this point, what were you thinking in the movie so far? Like, were you already into it? Were you still being like, what the fuck is this movie?
I was still pretty confused because there's not a lot of story yet. Like, there's not a lot of
there's no real
plot.
Big history. And
there's no exposition. There's no explanation other than these monsters are these people.
Right.
Period.
And they just showed up.
Literally nothing else. Nobody has a backstory. I mean, some people don't even have one at all in this movie, and it is what it is. But so I was still confused and trying to like figure out where it was going, but it was good and it was interesting, and I was like there for it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Already.
Did Kagero come back at like during that fight at all, or did she just show up? Because she shows up here, but I can't remember why.
She doesn't show up until where is it? It's later on, because after the snake lady gets away, Daquan basically blackmails Jubei into helping him go after these 8 devils of Kimon.
Yes.
And
because he poisoned the shuriken.
Yes, exactly. He poisoned them with the shuriken. And,
yeah.
And so he's like, no, I'm not going to help you. He's like, well, fine. You'll just die in a day and a half.
Yeah.
And then so he kind of is obligated to go and help him because he doesn't want to die.
Yeah. So he basically says like, I have the antidote, whatever.
Exactly.
But I will say the rest of this movie it felt way longer than a fucking day and a half. Yeah. I was like, Why isn't this dude dead yet?
It feels like it's like a week, right?
And they're walking everywhere too. Dude, I'd be like, just kill me now. Like, can we speed this up, please? I don't feel like walking to the coast. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, and so that's when, after he blackmails them to help the Tokugawa government, basically, because he understands that there's a mine filled with gold.
Yes.
And he thinks that these 8 devils of Kamon are there to take that gold.
Yes. And that gold turns out to be somewhat tied to Jubei's history.
Yeah.
And he's kind of telling him the story knowing that Jubei knows what he's talking about, but Jubei's kind of playing it cool and acting like, you know, he doesn't know what's going on, but he kind of does.
Right.
I mean, he really does.
He has a flashback.
And that's whenever you see the first interaction with the main boss character from the 8,
Genma.
And the flashback is really cool. The visuals on it are awesome.
Black and white.
Yeah. And then they show him just straight cut his head off. Yeah. And it just goes flying.
It's dope. The dude's just like riding on the side of a mountain on a horse. And then Jubei just pops up out of the snow and just like cuts his head off.
Yeah,
and
it was
dope.
wild.
He's just like floating and blood starts spurting out of his neck.
So I don't remember why, but she definitely shows up at this point because I have in my notes that that old guy, like, she walks away from their 3 people interaction and he like calls her sexy and is really gross.
Yeah, that's right. He's all like, isn't she, pretty and sexy?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's a lot.
And so let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, so they show him killing Genma. Oh, and I wrote that the sound effects sound like they're straight off a Wu-Tang record because they're like sound effects from like old kung fu movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they use all of those on the Wu-Tang record, so it was just like making me want to like protect my neck or something.
Yeah, like those bing, things like that. Right?
Yes, it's so good. So this is where. So now the 3 of them are together, right? I can't remember. But I know that old man falls down that mountain like it's that clip from Mac and Me. Like he just like falls down the mountain for some reason or the side of that cliff.
I love how they're trying to sneak and he's got like this cane or like stick.
Yeah.
And it has these 2 metal rings at the top and they're just like clanging
They're
along.
always clanging.
But he's all like, we got to be quiet and we got to sneak into this place.
It's so stupid. But yeah, so whatever happens right here, he falls down the cliff and then at the bottom, that's where they find that, that's where that shadow ghost, one of the 8.
Yeah, one of the 8
He
devils.
probably has a name that I don't know at all.
You know what? I think that's the only name I didn't figure out.
Really?
I just called him Shadow Guy.
Yeah, I was calling him Shadow Ghost with chains. That's too long. But he like shoots his chains out at the old guy and he like jumps out of his clothes or something. And that's when he's like hiding as the tree, like up in the top. It's so crazy.
I will say that the subbed version is much different than the dubbed version.
Really?
Yeah. So the first time that I watched it, it was the dubbed version. So they had like American actors, and, American voices, and things like this. So and even like the script was different because like there's certain things that they say in Japanese that they are translated loosely to whatever they're trying to say, but on the English dubbed version, it's just like what an American would say.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
That's interesting.
It's a trip.
So they like kind of like translated into like not necessarily slang, but like how Americans would talk.
Exactly.
And that makes sense.
Yeah, because like I find that being Mexican, I have to explain things at how like terminology in Spanish doesn't translate well sometimes to English. It doesn't make sense.
You don't translate word for word like porque isn't for what, like it's like why, like you like
exactly.
It's not word for word in the translation.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, I watched the sub version.
Yeah, that's the version that's on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's the sub version, which is probably the best way to go about it because you actually get the original actors' voices and things like this.
Yeah, makes sense. So they're kind of split up because old dude is kind of preoccupied with the shadow ghost, and Jubei is in this like church.
Yeah, looked like a shrine.
Yeah, and there's a woman in there, like praying or chanting or something, and she's like basically kind of dressed like a nun or something like that, and her face is covered in the like plague marks, and she's kind of telling him like they're gonna die, like he came to this village. He's going to die. He's not going to leave.
Yep.
And he's kind of being a dick to her, and I was confused why at first. But when he gets up close, she, like, turns around, and it's the fucking snake woman.
Yeah, the snakes, like, pop out of her eyes and her mouth.
They're just, like, crazy, just, like, shooting at him.
Yep.
And, like, her whole, like, all of her clothes fall off and shit, and they're just, like, he's just being bombarded by snake attacks.
Yeah, he looks up, and on the ceiling, there's a shitload of snakes just chilling on the ceiling, and they make a face, and they, like, fall down on him.
And then he's just trapped under all these snakes, and he
snakes, yep.
can't move, and he's, like, yelling at her, and she's basically saying, you're about to die. And then all of a sudden, that's whenever, maybe this is whenever she comes back.
That's when Quintero comes back.
Because she pops up from behind her and has a knife to her throat and is like, call off your fucking snakes, basically.
Yeah.
And so while she's behind her, like basically saving him, the snake lady has a trick up her vagina.
Up her vag.
And a snake comes out of her vagina and bites Kagero on the leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like stunned. I just like, I almost wanted to rewind. Like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Because I'm pretty sure that snake came out of her vagina.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And Kagero doesn't flinch. She pushes the knife deeper on her neck.
Yep.
And is like, call off your fucking snakes.
Yeah, she's like, call him off, or she's going to kill her, right? And then she gets electrocuted.
Just out of nowhere.
Yep.
And it's kind of confusing again.
Yeah, you're like, why is she being electrocuted?
Yeah, I was like, what? But then they cut to another one of the 8.
Yeah.
And he is clearly the electricity power guy.
Yeah. Yeah, his trick is this string that he can like just fling from apparently any distance.
Yeah.
And it'll wrap around something, and then he just shoots electricity from his body through the string and kills everything.
And he says something like, she was stupid for not noticing that he wrapped her in the string, and that she failed at killing Jubei twice.
Yeah.
So he killed her for that as punishment.
He called her an amateur.
Yes. But this is where we find out that Kagero is immune to poison because she, that's basically like her job because of it. And they mentioned something about her poison tasting early on.
They mentioned it early on when you first meet her that she's a poison taster.
Yeah. And so
to avoid the shogun getting assassinated with like a poison drink.
So she would like taste his food and drinks before he did.
Yep. Just to make sure he wouldn't die.
So so she's immune to poison. The snakes won't do shit to her, so she's fine. And I think this is the moment and the point where the 3 of them agree to work together.
Yeah, Doc One is around again. He just like shows up again.
He's out of the tree.
He's not a tree anymore. He literally turns into a tree. It's a trip. You guys got to see that. It's funny as hell.
His body like changes color and everything.
Yeah, he looks like a branch. It's funny. So yeah, then Doc One basically is like, look, we all have a common enemy now. Yep. Let's team up.
Exactly. And this is where he calls her sexy and I wanted to puke.
Yeah, he did.
But
old man.
Daquan, he explains to Jubei about like what she is and like her poison thing or whatever, and that any man who sleeps with her or even kisses her will be poisoned and will die.
Yep.
And so that's why homeboy with the rock skin started falling apart.
That's right.
Because when he sexually assaulted her and kissed her and licked all over her body, he was poisoned and didn't know it.
Yeah, he was fucked.
And it's kind of funny because he kind of made a sly comment earlier like, oh, you killed that guy, but you had help. But he didn't explain like what he meant.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was because like her poison like messed up his rock body.
Yep.
And that's why Jubei was
weakened
able
him.
to like fuck him up with that sword.
Yeah, because he had attacked him a few times, and it was obvious like the sword would just like deflect.
Yeah, just bounce off.
Yeah, it would just bounce right off of his like stone pecs, and just nothing was happening.
Yeah, but he got through those fingers and he just thought he was a badass. But that was not
such
the
a good
case.
scene.
Brilliant. So now the three are together. They're walking again, just through the woods and fields and whatever. And then all of a sudden, I was traumatized because a group of wasps just come flying towards them. Yeah. And the last time you were at my house, we were attacked by wasps.
Dude.
And both of us were stung by wasps.
What the hell?
I was like, oh my God, like, are these, like, what is happening? Are these the bees that fucked us up?
Dude, they were.
Man, it was crazy.
They were yellow jackets.
Yeah, that was fucked up. That was a horrible situation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fucking bees.
That shit hurt. It hurt worse than my, like, COVID vaccine. Like, I was, like, swollen for days.
Oh, no.
I got stung on the finger.
Yeah, I got stung on my pinky, and then I got stung on, like, my ribs. Which is weird. But.
God, I think I don't remember if I told you what happened, but because we were drinking outside in the front of my house, and I left the bottle of whiskey out in the front. So when I went to go get it the next morning, I picked it up, and I had a bunch of shit in my hands. So I was like holding it like cradled in my arm, like against my like chest. And then all of a sudden, I like felt something on my finger, and I was like, "Fuck that was a bee sting." Like I just knew it, and so. I set the bottle back down on the ground, like slowly, because I only have like, I don't even have a grip on it.
Yeah, you had
and there's like 3 wasps on it.
Ugh.
And one just stuck in my finger.
No.
And my other hand was still full of whatever I had. And so I was trying to get it off my finger, and I like blew on it. And it was stuck in my finger. Like, so the bee like moved off, but its stinger was still in me. So I blew it, and it was kind of just like shaking in the wind of my like of my blow, and it wouldn't come off. So I'm just like shaking my hand frantically, and it finally just like got off of my finger, and I was just like, God damn it, like what is this?
Yeah, man, I don't know. They had it out for us that weekend.
Ridiculous.
It was so much. But yeah, all those bees come after Jubei, Daquan, and Kagero.
A fucking swarm. There's your Wu-Tang killer bees coming back. So they're running away from them, and all of a sudden Kagero is like, we're never gonna outrun them. She turns around and all of a sudden has some like power with like flower petals like coming out of her sleeves and putting the bees to sleep.
She's putting them to sleep with her sleepy pollen petals.
Again, I was very confused. And I said, so her power is sleeping pollen? I guess? I don't know. Confusing.
Poison taster and sleepy pollinator.
I mean, whatever it takes. So then another one of the 8 jumps out, and it's just some weird like hunchback guy who's shaped like that guy from the 300, like that movie 300.
God.
Like
Dude,
he's shaped exactly like him.
That's such a good reference. That's exactly how he's shaped.
It's so weird.
With like the long arms.
And he's like hunched over. But he takes his like robe off, and his back is like a giant beehive.
It's a beehive, yep.
It's crazy as fuck. Like, imagine you have a kid and it's just born with a beehive back. Like, this is not the route. This is not the path that my life would go. If I was born with a beehive on my back, I really don't think I would turn out like that guy.
It would have been one of the babies that would have been thrown over the cliff, like on 300.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Maybe they live in the same universe. Maybe this is like a 300 extended EU, you know? So Jubei starts fighting him. That guy jumps into a tree and has a conversation with 2 others from the 8, the electricity guy.
And then this woman, this lady.
They haven't showed her power yet. No. And they're basically like taunting him, like, you know, is he going to be able to kill him or whatever. And so they're fighting. It's not really an exciting fight. to be honest.
No, so the guy's just kind of standing on a route that's over the lake, this pond that Jubei had like ran and jumped into to get away from the bees. So he's like underwater, right?
Yeah.
And then that bee guy, he's just like chilling on this route, and then Jubei like slices his leg off from underwater.
A lot of limbs just being cut off in this movie.
So many.
Willy-nilly, just limbs everywhere.
Yeah. And then, so the bee guy like falls in the pond, and then all the bees start stinging him internally.
Yeah, because they're trying to get out of the water.
Out of the water, yeah.
But they're inside of him.
Yeah. He shoots a throat needle.
Oh, yeah. That was so weird. And Jubei like catches it with his sword or something. Yeah. And then they go back up to the two people in the trees. And one guy's like, you think he got hit with a throat needle?
She's like, I know he did.
But yeah, so this guy's internal bee squad just tries to break out of him to get out of the water and just fuck him up.
Yeah, he dies.
He turns into a red puddle that just rises to the top of the pond.
And for good measure, Jubei cuts off his head.
Yeah, you got it. That's the double tap,
that's
right?
The double tap.
Yes,
dude, yeah.
Exactly. Shout out to Zombieland. So Jubei gets out of the water, and I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I cannot hold my breath long enough. I could not be in his position. I can't hold my breath for shit. Like, we timed it one day, and Dana held her breath like 3 times longer than me. It was sad. It was real sad.
Oh, man.
If it's not like 30 seconds, I'm pretty much fucked.
Oh, we gotta change that.
Yeah. Hopefully Dana will just save me if we're in an emergency. And in my notes, this is where I wrote, he said he's going to die in half a day, but this feels like it's been half a day.
Yeah, he's living a long time. He's hanging on.
Holding his breath.
Yeah, dude.
So now the 3 of them are off. They're climbing this like cliff to try to see, like, Jubei kind of like gets an idea, and they climb this cliff to like get a better view or whatever. And when they get up to the top of it, surprise, Hansa's there with no arms.
No arms.
His mouth and like eyes are sewn shut.
That's right.
And he's just like a zombie,
He's
just like
walking aimlessly.
And so Kogero like freaks out. She runs over to try to help him. And then all this black mist just starts like flowing in behind Jubei.
Yep.
And I thought they were bees again because I was just terrified. But he realizes right away that it's gunpowder.
It's gunpowder.
And the woman from the tree with the electric guy is like a bomb lady, basically.
Yeah, so she holds her arms out like she's spreading her wings, and her like cape opens up as well. And then she has like all these like little bamboo shoots that she's holding up against the wind, and they're all like 6 of them, and they're all releasing all this gunpowder.
Yeah, and she has used that to fill Hansa up with gunpowder and turn him into a bomb.
Into a walking bomb.
And so it's a trap, and Jubei realizes it right away, runs over and grabs Kogero and like pulls her away.
Just in time.
And dude just like blows the fuck up.
A massive explosion, dude.
And actually it's only them 2 up there because old dude has like gone off on some reconnaissance, like mystery mission, and he sees the explosion and he's like, well, damn, I didn't think they were going to die that fast.
Yeah. He's like, you fools, we still have so much to do.
But he's just like, what? He just keeps walking.
Keeps
like,
going,
he don't give a shit. Oh, it's so crazy. So when the explosion happens, they're thrown off of the cliff.
Right.
And so they pan down, and he's used his little sword string trick again.
That's right.
And the sword is like on a tree branch, and he's holding on to the string.
Yep.
And with one hand, and holding on to her with the other hand. And so he's kind of like holding her up, and there's not really anywhere to go from there.
Yeah.
And she's like crying and screaming, like, just let me go. This is my fault. I fell for their trick or whatever. And he's just like, what? No, like,
Yeah, no.
like, the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't do all this for nothing. You better climb up this fucking string.
Yeah, so he like pulls her up, and he's like, and it's like funny because he's holding her like in front of him, and they're like face to face, and there's like sexual tension, and he's like, are you gonna grab the rope?
Yeah.
And like,
are you just gonna hang here all day? Is what he tells her.
Yeah. So she grabs the rope, and another physical activity that I could not do, which is pull myself up a rope.
Oh yeah.
Not happening. So many times I would just be dead in this movie. So when they get to the top, there is a new person
Yeah.
holding his sword, like it's not on the tree branch anymore.
Right.
And so he like lets go, but he's high enough. He like catches himself and he's up there.
Utsutsu is that guy's name.
Oh, that sounds like a dish I would have ordered, and I just got real hungry.
I sounded like a club just now.
It's perfect. So this dude is blind, but a badass swordsman.
Yeah, blind swordsman. Yep. Dude, this is my favorite fight scene in the whole fucking movie.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So Jubei starts like running, but like this badass like sideways ninja run.
Yep.
And immediately your other boy is like keeping up with him.
Ninja
and
run time.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And they're just like face to face, just staring at each other. I guess not in the eye, but in the face. And they're just running sideways with their swords drawn, and they run into this like bamboo forest thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a badass sword fight.
Yeah, it's really, really good in terms of like the visuals and the beautiful greens that are in the background because of all the bamboo. And they start having a sword fight, these two. And it's like
Jubei can't really keep up at this.
No,
like,
he can't.
It's kind of crazy. The other dude is such a badass, and because he's blind, his sense of hearing is heightened.
Yep.
And so any movement or breath or anything he can hear, and he's gonna get you.
Yeah, because Jubei tries to get him once where he's like he chopped a bunch of bamboos and they're all like falling. And and it like cuts.
So
to
it's
where
kind of muffling the sound.
And then he like attacks him on a sneak, and the dude still like evades and attacks back. It's crazy.
I mean, it was good because like you think because like as soon as Jubei does that, you're kind of like, damn, that's a smart move. Like that's a good one. Like that's gonna be good. And no, he still counters it.
Yeah, it was intense.
So then Kagero like pops up out of nowhere, even though Jubei told her to like stay her ass back.
Right.
And she tries to attack him, and obviously she can't keep up either because Jubei is like top of the game swordsman, and she's not gonna be able to keep up. And so she's about to get fucked up, and I think he like hits her sword away, and it gets stuck in one of the bamboo right?
trees. Yeah.
And so she's basically about to get fucked up. And Jubei like jumps in front to try to like block the hit, and he gets like hit real hard. I think they just hit like swords real hard, and he goes flying.
Yep.
And so he's now at a disadvantage, and he's about to get fucked up. And this part is so dope because he is like kind of running away from the guy, and the guy's like right about to get him, and he swings his sword. And it gets blocked, but he also gets stabbed at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like you're watching it and you're like, wait, what just happened? And Jubei is a badass, and he went and stood behind Kagero's sword that was stuck in the tree.
Yep.
And so that's what blocks the sword
From the blind guy, yeah.
And then he has the chance to stab him, and he doesn't know what's happening because he couldn't see the other sword.
Yep, he couldn't hear it.
And it was just so fucking good. I mean, you could see the confusion on his face as he just dies from this sword in his stomach. So good.
Yeah, that's honestly my favorite fight scene. Just it's so good because you can tell that no matter what, he was gonna win.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah,
with the unexpected that sword that was in the bamboo tree.
And it's funny too because right before that, I wrote like Kagero's like forever fucking up. Like she's just constantly making mistakes.
Yeah.
But that one actually worked out to their advantage. Oh my god. So they start arguing again, and she's just mad at the world. But Jubei like confronts her about her like poison body and asks if it's true. Like if like whoever she sleeps with is going to be poisoned and die.
Yeah, and you can tell that's kind of like it's like a forbidden love kind of thing. Cause you can tell that Jubei's finally, like he's really concerned about her. You can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can see that she's starting to give in. She's not as defensive, but.
I just wrote, she's sad in my notes.
She is, the poor thing.
So she says, she like basically like says, yeah, it's true, whatever. But I think she's like expecting judgment from him,
Right.
And he kind of just doesn't.
He doesn't
like,
give it to her, yeah.
Like he doesn't, that's not who he is or whatever. So they continue on. So they are they in the village or are they in another village? Like I didn't really like understand where they like went or where they were going.
So when they were hanging off the side of the cliff, they were trying to get a better vantage point of this village that's down below, like that's next to the sea. There was like a dock there.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get a better view of what was to come. And you can see like all the gold that was there just waiting.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, this is where they're going to come and pick it up. So they're just like on the outskirts of the city, or a little town, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of just like hanging out up above this town in like this little wooded area.
Yeah. And so they, I think, this is where she just faints out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then when she wakes up, he tells her, you're exhausted from being tense all the time. You need to get more sleep.
Yeah.
So they cut back to her village and the Shogun there. And basically he says like he's not going to send any help until he hears back from her. Like he sent her.
Right.
And until he hears back from her, he's not going to do anything, basically.
Yeah, because she sent, I think it was right then.
She didn't do it yet. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is kind of where they set that up. So
Gotcha.
they go back to they cut back, and I think now it's like the next day, which should be like the rest of this happened in a fucking half a day. I don't think
Right.
so. Anyway, so they go into this village and they find out like all the villagers in this place are dead. They even killed all the animals and everything. And basically they're just trying to protect this gold from this illegal mine, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
So they're just like killing any and everybody in their path to get that gold onto this ship that I believe came in like overnight or like
It did, yeah.
So when they get to the village, they're kind of sneaking around because or maybe they're not quite there yet. I don't remember. But basically they know this shit's about to hit the fan. Like this ship is coming, and if the bad guys get the gold, they'll have enough money to build an army and start a civil war.
Yeah. Dakwa ends up telling them that, this is where it's all going to go down. We have to be here. He said, it's funny because he says that if they're called the Shogun of the Dark, which is the 8 Devils of Kamon are like the mercenaries, but they're being paid by the Shogun of the Dark, which is the brains.
Big bad. Yeah.
And so he says if they get all the gold, they'll be powerful enough to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
Which just still continues to show that if you're rich enough, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, exactly.
That trope is real in real life too.
Yes, it is. And it's always the bad guys. Yeah. It's the bad and worst guys usually.
Oh shit.
So the three of them are back together, and this is where Kagero like sends that message. So she's like writing a note to send with a bird back to her village to tell him like what's happening. And while she's doing that, they get attacked by the shadow guy again.
Yeah.
And so they're fighting, and he like takes her. Like she gets the note off just in time, but he takes her, and then that's where the what's his name, the old guy, Dakwa. I think I called him Daquan earlier or something. That's where he tells, or maybe it's like right before she gets taken. I can't remember. Yeah. He tells her what the antidote is.
Yes.
But they haven't said it yet. But he tells her, and then she gets captured by the shadow guy, and then he fingers her.
Shijima is his name. I just have
Shijima. She fingers her. He nasty sticks 2 fingers in his mouth and gets it all covered in saliva.
Yeah, that's very graphic.
And he has her tied up with in a gymnast pose, or like a fucking Pilates pose with one leg up on the wall.
Yeah. And
he finger bangs her to possess her.
Yeah.
It's so weird and also very unnecessary. He's a shadow guy. Like, he could just shadow phase into her or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it was too much.
It was nasty. And in my notes I wrote, oh shit, her name's Kagero, because I wrote it way earlier and then forgot it and then remembered again.
I love that you're like in the third act and you're just now like, oh,
I'm
that's
like,
her name.
oh yeah. So then I started writing it as her name again. So yeah, Jubei shows up, kills the shadow guy. He has to fight Kagero. She stabs him in the arm, like the forearm.
Yeah.
And I think he throws his sword or something and like kills the shadow guy like just in time before she like kills him.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Because the shadow guy has her possessed, and so she's attacking him, and the shadow Shijima is also attacking Jubei. So they're both attacking Jubei.
Yeah, and he's getting fucked up once again.
Yeah, he's getting fucked up, dude. The colors in that scene are badass because like it shows like this old dilapidated like house that they're in, or like a warehouse, and it's just solid black with like orange and reds.
Yeah,
and that's it. There's no other colors.
Super cool.
Yeah, really badass.
But there's also like a beam of light kind of coming in, so their swords are like glowing a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool.
Yeah, dude, it's super fucking cool.
So yeah, they kill the shadow guy, and they're kind of, I feel like they're arguing again because all that happens is Kagero just yells at Jubei all the time, and then she tells him, because I think he's like hurt and he's probably like coughing up blood, and she tells him what the antidote is, which is to kill poison with poison.
Right.
Meaning he has to sleep with her to stop himself from dying. And she like takes off her clothes again and is kind of like throwing herself at him.
Right. Yeah.
And he kind of grabs her and he just like hugs her a little bit and then just like walks off.
Yeah. Mr. Chivalry, man.
Yep.
He wasn't about it.
And so she's like, now she's also feeling rejected. And like she's just going through it.
That
she's
poor thing.
Mad struggles. So I think while all this was happening, this is when it's nighttime. The ship has arrived.
Right.
And when they get it fully like up to where all that's happening, there's already this like group of ninjas like loading the gold onto the ship.
This big ass ship.
And so Jubei comes up with a little plan to send the old dude up to the top where they have this bell.
The bell tower.
And it's like to distract them by ringing the bell so he can sneak aboard the ship and sink it from on the ship.
Yeah.
And so when he's up on the bell tower, which is crazy to think about. Imagine if like that was our only security. Like there's just a bell someone has to go ring.
Yeah.
Like what? It's fucking crazy. But before he can ring the bell, they hear the horses coming up, and
from the Koga clan.
Yeah. So now they're like, dope. We got backup.
Yep.
Like her note worked, and they're all like, he doesn't even ring the bell. Like they're just like ready to go, and so Kagero like runs up to go meet the Shogun, and it's not him.
Nope.
It is somebody wearing his skin. That's basically.
Right. Yeah.
And it's what's his name? Genma.
Yeah, he like turned himself into that Shogun.
And all of his buddies that are riding with him are all his ninjas. Yeah. And they're like ripping like their disguises off too.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking stabs her.
Yeah, dude, right through the chest.
Like,
or through the back, out the chest.
Yeah, like did not see that coming either.
Yeah, no, neither did I.
Just fucking got her.
Yeah, dude. She had it rough in the movie.
Yeah, she really did. Her character arc is not ideal. So basically Jubei is like,
he sees that.
Yeah. And
he fucking flips out.
He loses it.
Dude, he kills everybody.
Just slicing through dudes. Yeah. Just like more limbs just flying everywhere. I mean, he is just murking those ninjas.
I like how like in the scene when he's just like cutting people in half and doing all this and that, and
it's crazy.
Like the cool cinematics of it. It'll be like a solid black screen, and then a rip will just come through, and you'll just see his face.
Yeah,
and it's like him cutting through a ninja. It's
so good.
Yeah.
So good. So then while he's fighting those dudes, the that electric guy comes back.
Yurimaru.
Damn, you're good at that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So they're fighting, or they're like, I don't even know if they fight. They're about to fight. They're confronting each other, and they're in this barn or something.
Yeah.
And it's like about to go down. And then all of a sudden, Jubei looks down on the ground and he sees this rat, and it's like walking funny, and he sees this like scar on it that looks exactly like ones that were on Hansa.
Yeah.
And he knows what's about to happen, so he jumps away, and that rat is a bomb and just blows up. And the fucking bomb girl just like killed the electric guy because they were like arguing constantly about who was going to get to fuck Genma.
Yeah, so he was getting it both.
Yeah. And so they were just, it was a lover's quarrel, and she
Yeah,
just
big
fucking
time.
blew his ass up, and his arm just like lands off to the side with his little electric string tied around it.
Yeah, she's even like, oh, he fell into my trap.
Yeah, she just literally just goes and tells Genma like, yeah, I blew his ass up. He was an idiot, and then throws his arm into the water. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. But it's like she just let Jubei go, like the whole thing. Like she just, that was all she wanted.
I was kind of like thrown off by that one because in that scene, they were in real close proximity. So the dude was electrocuting him with the string.
Yeah.
And then that rat shows up, blows up that whole fucking barn.
And one of them dies.
And Jubei's like unscathed.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like he kind of like does a little like jump away move, but
yeah.
Really, what's that going to do if there's a bomb? If there's a bomb in this room right now and I jumped away, where the fuck am I going to go? We would still both die.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not enough distance for me to jump, even if I had the ability to jump far as fuck. We are indoors, and so were they.
I was like, man, that's, there's no continuity there, but then I have to remember it's a cartoon.
It is a cartoon, yes. So. It just happens to have a lot of tits. It's weird. So Jubei's all fucking like ready to go. He's ready to avenge her death, and so he's like getting amped up and ready to sink that ship. Like he's still there for that plan. So now they're on the ship, like the storyline is back on the ship.
Yeah, the ship is cast off.
And Genma is talking to the representative for the Shogun of the Dark.
Yeah, it's from the Yorimato clan? I forget that one.
The something clan.
Yes.
And so he's basically like thanking him for getting the gold so that they're going to take it back, and he's going to be rewarded, and the Shogun, his plan will go on, like, he's going to build this giant army or whatever.
Yeah, he's going to build an empire.
And I think the words that were chosen were like, our plan will move on us forward. And Genma was like, we don't have the same plan, bruh.
Yeah.
So it turns out Genma's plan is to steal the gold or keep the gold that he already stole.
Exactly.
And build an army of ninjas.
His own ninja army.
So that he will be the strongest person in the land, and he will be the true Shogun of the Dark.
Exactly.
And then he throws that guy off the ship.
That old guy's like, who are you? Like he's super mad about it. I'm like, dude, come on.
And he kind of just grabs him by the head with one hand. He like palms him like a basketball and just fucking flings him off the side.
Oh my god.
Because Genma's fucking huge. That dude is gigantic.
Yeah, and he's got like a half metal arm.
He's got that Winter Soldier arm. I wrote that in my notes.
That's exactly what it is. Holy shit.
Oh my god. So after that is all happening, you see that Jubei is not the only person who's stowed away on the ship. The old guy is there too.
Yeah, he's checking out the gold.
Yeah. And he ends up getting confronted by the bomb girl.
Yeah.
And so they start fighting, and he has a plan to like light her ass up so that they can sink the ship.
Right.
And so he douses her with like gasoline or kerosene or something.
Yeah.
And he has this candle he's about to throw on her, and she throws her like little daggers and extinguishes the candle flame. That shit was so dope.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that Jubei is behind her. And
with another candle.
And just lights her ass up. So now the whole ship is just like, I mean,
it explodes.
It's just, like just little, like room by room, you see the fire start spreading, and people are like getting the fuck out of there. And Genma tells his crew to abandon the ship, like go hide basically, and wait for the day whenever I reach back out to you.
Right. Yep.
So he knows that, his plans have gone awry, but he hasn't given up yet, because Jubei comes and confronts him, and now they're ready to fight. Like this is where it's all going down.
Final battle.
And it totally feels like a video game, like final boss. Like, you know, he ran his quest and beat all the little bosses one by one, and now he's there. And this last fight is crazy.
Yeah. It's really good.
All of the sound effects sound like Street Fighter like sound effects. Like, ooh, like it's so crazy. I'm just sitting there just like cracking up, but the fight is so badass. And, you know, Genma is immortal. Like, basically, like, Jubei, like, cuts one of his arms off, and he just, like, puts it back on.
He just reattaches it,
Yeah, and, like, and you know, they didn't think that, like, power was real, like, that he could really do that, even though he came back to life. But, so now he's, like, freaked out. Like, he can't really do anything to him.
Yeah, he can reincarnate and regenerate.
Yeah, so, I mean, what are you going to do to him? And he's already, like, bigger and stronger and, like, kicking your ass. And anything that you do get in, he just, it doesn't matter. Like, it just reverses.
I bet it was weighing on his head the whole time. He's like, I already cut this fucking guy's head off
Exactly.
once.
What else am I going to do?
What else am I supposed to do?
He cuts his arm off. He, like, stabs him a bunch. He headbutts the shit out of him. Like, he headbutts his head into the floor. And, like, it's, like, smashed up. It's all flattened in places. And
his head was caved in.
Yeah. And I don't understand the physics of how that works. Because if I hit you with my head as hard as I could, it's going to hurt us both equally. So I don't understand this at all. But hey, it's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon, bro.
But he just like, he pops his head back out. Like he like heals himself. Like
it's like it reinflated like a balloon.
It's like if you squeeze a plastic bottle and blow into it and it like pops back out.
That's exactly what it's like.
It was so crazy. So they just keep fighting. He just keeps killing him.
Yeah.
He cut him in half at one point, didn't he?
At the end.
Like
towards the end.
Like vertically, like
yeah, so yeah, like he breaks Jubei's arm.
Yeah.
So he's fighting with one arm, and then after some shit talking or whatever, they have their final little fight, and then Jubei stabs him right in the abdomen.
Uh-huh.
And then the dude's like, "You fool!" And he's like beating on his back.
He's like pounding his back.
And then Jubei just like lifts up with all his power and fucking chops him in half.
Oh my god! And it's like when he chops him in half, he's still like together, and he kind of falls over, and then you see his head like separate.
Yeah,
like oh, this is so crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's so wild.
My god!
And then from right there, so it's pretty much like, okay, I've cut this guy in half.
Yeah, like something's got to give. Something's got to happen here.
So Jubei starts to leave. He's going to book it because the whole fucking ship is on fire.
Yeah.
And this dude, like, he starts getting to put himself back together.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the fire on the whole ship has, like, melted all the gold.
Yeah.
And it just, like, washes over him.
Like a wave of melted gold. Molten gold.
Molten gold.
Just comes rushing in. Oh, my God. And so he like it's like pouring all over his body, and he's screaming in agony like something's finally fucking him up.
Yeah, exactly. And then so Jubei is like finally climbing up this ladder to get out, and motherfucker jumps out of the gold.
He fucking grabs his ankle. Yeah. He grabs his ankle with this gold, like hot molten gold hand.
Yeah, Jubei didn't scream.
Oh my god! I would just be dead. Like I'd be dead. The pain from that would just kill me.
So then, yeah, like he cuts that arm off, and then Genma falls back into like the...
But he's like screaming, covered in this molten gold, and he looks like the T-1000, like dying.
Yeah,
and...
he does.
Yeah, so he finally got him.
He got him. He cut his arm off, and he fell back in the molten gold, and then he sank to the bottom of the sea.
Yep, with all the rest of the gold. All the gold bars are just like, plummeting down with him. And the ship is sunk, and that's pretty much the end of him.
Yeah, it's crazy. He finally killed him. I wonder, like, the arm, so he had him by the ankle. Mm-hmm. I imagine it would have hardened.
Yeah.
So, like, how did
he was it on his... He's got a permanent anklet now?
An anklet, yeah.
Looks like he's...
It's a half an arm.
He's on golden house arrest.
Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't even think of that. That's crazy. And that's a story. Like, imagine if I just came here today and I just had a gold hand wrapped around my ankle. I doubt that wouldn't be the first thing you asked me about.
No.
Not like, hey, cool podcast equipment, like cool case for your thing. Like, no, you have a golden hand.
What the fuck is that?
Wrapped around your ankle. Get out. Yeah. You've been in some shady shit recently. Get out. But yeah, that's pretty much wrapped all of the drama and the fights and all of that stuff up. And now poor Kagero is dead. They've sent her off into the sea, right?
Yep.
And so now Jubei is just talking to the old guy who is a total piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, no sympathy, like barely, like just basically grilling him about whether he banged Kagero before she died.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing he's concerned about.
Like, did you get to sleep with her?
Like,
Dude,
what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Oh, because we kind of skipped over, he did end up kissing her to counteract the poison.
Yeah. He
As
did.
she was dying.
As she was dying.
Yeah, so she did save his life, but he didn't sleep with her. Nope. And but old dude is just grilling him about it.
Horny old man.
Horny old man. This whole movie was horny. This is one of the horniest movies I've ever seen, and it was a cartoon. Oh my god. But yeah, so he basically tells him like he fulfilled his end of the deal. He's got the gold that he promised him. Just come meet him in this town or whatever. And, you know, if you survive, he says, like, you're so hurt, I doubt you'll even make it to the shore. The shore, like, oh, asshole. Yeah. And so Jubei pulls out his sword and, like swings at him. Like, you don't even really see what happens, but a gold bar falls out of his robe.
Yeah.
And he's like, consider us even. Like,
now never see me again or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just fucking jumps off the boat, is at the shore, and just walks away. And that's it.
That's it. You just see him walking away.
Man, it's crazy.
Credits and a funny song.
Yeah. Definitely. Man, but yeah, that was a wild ride. I was like, I was there for it. It was a great story. It was awesome art, like really cool animation.
Yeah.
You know, I think the parts of it that were like, I don't want to say silly, but like maybe didn't hold up 100%. Like, it was not nearly as bad as like other older movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that like there was the sex stuff and the like tits and stuff was awkward and weird. Yeah. But
it was intended to be.
Yeah. And you know, if it was a movie, I would have felt the same way, I think. Yeah. You know? Like, it wasn't weird because it was a cartoon. I mean, it is just always is kind of like that for me. But I think even if it was live action, you know, they intended for it to be jarring, and like, I don't want to see this nasty shit happening, and I don't want to see it happening to her. Right. You know? Yeah,
they definitely went there.
Yeah.
A couple times.
But it was good, man. That was a really good recommendation. I'm really like, I knew nothing about it going into it, so that was really cool. I mean, it's always great to have that experience with a movie, like knowing nothing about it.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think it's important for us to, like, I watch a shitload of movies. I try to watch things that I've never heard about, and just because I'm like, fuck, let's see if it's any good.
Yeah.
And, you know, just for cases like this, you know, like you've never seen it, and I'm like, dude, it's a badass movie.
It's perfect. Yeah. No, that was really great. I think, you know, I watch a lot of bad movies like in the background while I'm working. Right. And so it's a little different. But I do think we still have a lot of movies that one of us has seen, the other one hasn't, or neither of us have. Oh, yeah. Like, I already have a list of ones that I know neither of us have seen, so I think those will be interesting too. But
fuck yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really like doing this. I mean, it's super cool. It's like a easy conversation, and it's like easy to be motivated to watch something cool that you've never seen before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You get to talk shit about it after.
Yeah, I mean, like watching it and taking notes and stuff is not really that much work. No. Like it feels fun, and it's like fun, the anticipation of like coming to record and like doing this. Like, I really enjoy it. I really do.
Yeah, man. Likewise, I'm glad that we can start picking this back up again, and hopefully you guys will get more and more episodes out of us going forward, and we'll definitely start pumping out as much as we can for y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's cool that we can record anywhere, basically.
Yeah, we're in my house today.
Damn right. So we can switch off, just like we're switching off who's picking the movies, and we can just hopefully get back on this because this was so much fun. And I really hate that we had to skip the time that we did.
Yeah, it did suck, man. You know, it was we were definitely missing out on and having some good times, talking shit about the movies and drinking a beer. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready to get back on it for next month. I already know what movie I'm going to have you watch, and we'll not announce it yet. We'll wait a little bit so it'll be a surprise. But yeah, dude, this was awesome once again, and I'm excited to do more.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. Looking forward to doing many more.
Fuck yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we have an Instagram account now. It's at Feature Film Club.
That's right.
We'll put it in the show notes or whatever you read this on. And if you guys have any suggestions for like things we can do to make the podcast like more interesting or more fun or more interactive or whatever, like I always like listen to podcasts and think like, oh, it'd be awesome if they did this, you know, like, so if anybody has any like thoughts or comments or anything, just let us know. I mean, we're just starting. So, you know, we want to make this just the best that it can be.
Yeah. Always up for constructive criticism. Let us know, guys.
Damn right. All right, guys, that's it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Later.